Evaluate the discriminant for the following equation and then use it to determine the number of distinct solutions and tell whether they are rational, irrational, or non-real complex numbers. And here we have 9x squared minus 144 equals 0. Okay, so remember that the quantity b squared minus 4ac under the radical in the quadratic formula is called the discriminant of the quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, and that's the standard form. Okay, now we need to put this in standard form, so the best way to put it in standard form is to do the following. We have 9x squared. There's a missing term, and that is 0x minus 144, and that's equal to 0. Okay, so now we can determine that the value of a is equal to 9, the value of b is equal to 0, and the value of c is negative 144. Okay, remember that the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. So now let's go ahead and then plug that in. We know that b is 0, so we're going to square 0 and then subtract 4 times a, which is 9, times c, which is negative 144. So 0 squared is going to give us 0, and that's a negative times a negative, which is going to be a positive. So let's go ahead and figure that out here. So we have 4 times 9 times 144, which gives us 5,184. Okay, now we need to determine whether, it is positive, so we know that the answer that we get is 5,184. So we know the discriminant is positive. Now we need to determine whether it's a perfect square. So the best way to do this is we're going to go ahead and select second square root and then find out what is the square root of 5,184. And if we get a number, that means it's a perfect square. So we do get it. 72 is the number that you have to square to get that. So therefore, this is a perfect square. Now, let's go ahead and put our answer first. 5,184 to check. So we get 5,184. There's our answer. And now let's determine the number of distinct solutions, whether they're rational, irrational, or non-real. So coming back up here, okay, what did we determine? We determined the following. We said that the answer is positive and it's a perfect square. So the discriminant was positive with the perfect square, which tells us that we have two number of solutions and they're rational. So let's go ahead and then answer that question. So there's two distinct rational solutions. So let's go ahead and then enter C, and there is our result. Now, if we wanted to graph this, we can just graph this by saying, okay, this is 9x squared, and that's minus 144, and you can see that those are the two solutions, and they're rational solutions.